Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, 2 games left, both this weekend, and LeBron James and Anthony Davis both made the trip. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcast. This one is always going to be free. It is never, ever going to be behind a paywall, ever. Locked On Lakers on YouTube. I really hope they don't change that policy. I'm going to look stupid. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 23,000 subscribers to the program, all of whom are hoping the Lakers can sweep out this weekend, tonight in Memphis, Sunday in New Orleans, and finish with at least a shot, Andy, of moving up. We are recording Thursday evening before the Warriors play in Portland, before New Orleans and Sacramento play each other in Sacramento. Our recommendation to all of you is just get up in the morning and see what the standings look like. Don't try to follow along. It'll make your brain hurt. But Andy, to the end, we had a conversation for Thursday's show about what the Lakers should do with a sick Anthony Davis, a recovering but still kind of under the weather LeBron James. Should those guys maybe rest? Should they stay behind? Because the Lakers ought to be able to beat Memphis with just about anyone. Both of them made the trip. Anthony Davis is probable. The Lakers are going to try to win some games here.
Yeah, LeBron is listed as questionable, but LeBron is going to be listed as questionable for the rest of his career unless the Lakers know that he's out, in which case they'll just list him as not playing. But I think LeBron is questionable more due to the ever-present ankle injury versus the illness. And yeah, it looks like they are going to take no chances whatsoever. We had talked about before. I think they could have realistically split the difference, maybe where they have LeBron and AD stay back, let D'Lo, Rui, Reeves, and the rest of the guys handle a Memphis team that is basically like an elevated rec league team, and then see how the standings are shaking out, and then fly AD and LeBron to New Orleans, where there's a decent chance that could end up the 9-10 matchup anyway. They might possibly end up staying in New Orleans regardless. Who knows? But it sounds like they're going to.
It's at least possible. I mean, the Lakers, the Warriors have a chance certainly to move up to 8. The Lakers certainly, it's unlikely, but New Orleans could fall if they lose enough games.
Exactly, but it sounds like the Lakers are absolutely pressing every single bet that they have, hedging all their bets, covering all their bases, and who knows? Perhaps if Anthony Davis, who's not particularly online, happened to be checking his mentions over the last 48 hours, maybe he decided my ass better get on a plane.
Yeah, the menchies for AD have not been kind. We did our show. I mean, the sort of leading question of our show: Why are you booing me?
I'm saying those people were booing.
Right, okay.
Anthony
I was
Davis.
confused. You were showing the "boo this man" meme, and I didn't know what I did. Usually, I deserve it. This time, I was confused. But we are, the show was built around, for Thursday, a lot of this sort of idea of whether or not Anthony Davis was being treated unfairly. And, there are times when I kind of wonder about questions like that, or, do they look like really clickbaity when you say, all this stuff are you just trying to, engagement farm with all this stuff? But I mean, if you go through the comments section for Thursday's show, it kind of validates why we asked the question in the first place, because it is pretty split, between people being like, hey guys, he's clearly given out everything he can over the course of this season, and played very well, and people being like, how can you possibly miss, if you are alive, if you're dead, okay, that's a decent enough reason to miss the game. If you're alive, you got to at least try. It was pretty split. I want to say 50-50. It didn't count, but it was split.
I mean, look, I'll let people behind the curtain a little bit. We are always, to some degree, going for engagement and clickbait, because if we don't have either one of those things, the show dies.
Right. That's true.
But
you
that
understand
being
cheap
right.
clickbait.
I was going to say, that being said, we didn't invent the idea of fans being upset at Anthony Davis, media even questioning whether or not AD could have played. Those are things that all happened. And then if you actually listened to the show, you saw that Brian and I were not two of the people going scorched earth on AD, accusing him of being soft or what Kobe would have done or blah, blah, blah. We both said we thought that was frankly BS, but we were curious to see what people thought about it. And if nothing else, we did think the topic was real because, again, we saw it being discussed beyond us. And look, the truth is, this is a perception that Anthony Davis is aware of because we've heard him discuss it before. And this is a perception Anthony Davis does not like because, again, we've heard him discuss it before. And I can't say I blame him because nobody would want to be known, particularly for somebody like Anthony Davis, who is one of the best basketball players on the planet, one of the most talented players on the planet, and somebody as accomplished as him. Nobody wants to be seen as too soft to do their job.
Right. And that was what a lot of people
were too
indifferent
to do their job.
Yeah. I mean, I think in this case it would have been soft. I don't think most people accuse him of indifference. I think they accuse him of passivity sometimes and softness, which, he's Powell. I mean, he gets the same kind of treatment as Powell does.
Powell with better expectations.
Right. Not so much around the availability question, because I mean, Powell for most of the years, I mean, it was pretty durable.
Powell was.
But, or at the very least, didn't have the same reputation for injury. I mean, there were times when Powell got hurt, but it happens.
Well, he had a back injury when he wanted to be traded in Memphis.
And he got better. To reiterate, Andy and I, again, both of us was like, clearly the guy's sick because, in this season of rehab where he's, played so many games and so many minutes, and it's been obviously very important to him, the idea that he would take off this game because he just, I don't really want to get out of bed.
Or it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Right. It's just is totally implausible to me. But I will say this: what this does tell me, because my sort of tinfoil hat theory a little bit was that he really might have been concussed and the Lakers were just sort of trying to avoid allowing anyone near him so he couldn't get in the protocol. If he's listed as probable for tonight's game, then he really was just really effing sick, which happens. People get really sick, and the danger is twofold for the Lakers. It's both he goes out there and he's just really sick, can't play, extends an illness, doesn't get better or whatever. It's also he's breathing all over his teammates and stuff like that. And realistically, they've got a game they need to win Friday. They've got a game they need to win Sunday. They've got a play-in game. The last thing you want is 4 more guys or 5 more guys on the team getting sick. I mean, there really are practical considerations.
I guess. I don't think, I got to be honest, I don't think that's that much of the concern because they wouldn't have had him play in the first place if they thought he was that contagious. I mean, I don't think contagion was really the concern.
No, I think with Anthony Davis, I think it was if you're not going to be able to play, if you can't, if it's you can't get out of the building, if you
right,
can't,
but
if
they were going to put him on the court at all, I don't think they were concerned about that. I think
I agree, but I'm just saying there's
get through the game without vomiting or feigning or
right. But that's kind of my point. If you're so sick that you you're really not, you okay, fine, you are physically on the court, but you're not playing. Then what's the
from a fan's perspective though? When you said what's the point? The point would have been showing people that you were willing to try in the game, then checking yourself out if you can't do it. That would have been the point. I'm answering the question.
Right, I know, but my response, and I'm sure I think it would be yours too, is that's performative, not meaningful.
Well, I mean, it depends on what's motivating him to do it. If he's doing it just so people won't call him soft on Twitter, yeah, that's performative. If he's doing it because he truly wants to push himself to the absolute limit before he decides, no, seriously, I can't do it, that's different.
And I assume that's what he was doing before the game even started. So
from the fans' perspective, give it another hour before you tap out.
All right.
I'm not
so
condoning the perspective. I'm saying that's what it is.
What do the Lakers need to be doing this weekend? Who should be playing? Who shouldn't be? How do the Lakers approach these final couple games? Because they got a couple guys in the rotation right now, Andy, or at least who are receiving minutes who are not playing particularly well. We'll get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Stitch Fix. And with Stitch Fix, you get a stylist who understands your style, your size, your budget, even can surprise you with recognizing your taste before you even know what it is. It's the easiest way to update on-trend favorites for your wardrobe this season. I just gave my stylist my size, my style, budget preferences, order boxes when I want, no subscriptions required. And then they send 5 just for me pieces, plus also outfit recommendations, pro styling advice. You keep what you want, send back the rest. And they're pretty on point with this stuff. For example, I'm not a big polos guy. It's very rare that I wear polos. It's not typically my thing, but they sent me this one. I love it. Dig the color. I dig the fit. It is fantastic. I wear it regularly now, and shopping isn't a hassle. They save me the time and the effort. And again, they make me really happy with their choices. But if they didn't, just send it back. Shipping, returns, exchanges, they're always free. It's style that makes you feel as good as you look. So get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. We're talking superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Even, mitigating circumstances notwithstanding, it is very hard to play 7 players against the Golden State Warriors because, man alive, do they run people ragged and all of that. The Lakers do have a bit of a problem right now because, on their bench, they are playing guys and giving minutes to guys who simply aren't producing. You, Andy, failed the how many baskets does Gabe Vincent have since returning from injury? A trivia question that I gave you the other night when I noted.
Well, you asked me how many points did he have? Not many points.
Right. It's the same basic question. And the point is just like, he was on the floor in those critical 3.5 minutes at the end of the third quarter. And Darvin did talk later, during the game. And then, it was talked about the need for not having empty possessions and all those kinds of things. And it was frustrating then, to see Gabe out there because he has 2 points, 1 basket since returning from injury. And that is not a lot. And so he has not been productive. Taurean Prince is, despite the, I think he's been a kind of a symbol for a lot of the frustration the Lakers have had in a way that is out of line with how he's actually played for a lot of the year. He has not played well lately, a couple games notwithstanding. And so he has not really produced much. They're not getting a lot of production from these bench spots, which makes you wonder at this point, should they Cam Reddish has not been good at all. Should they just be playing like 7 guys and call it a day?
Yeah, what got me thinking about this was after the Warriors game, there was predictably a lot of bench this guy, bench that guy, bench everybody in the YouTube comments section.
My team is on the floor. Basically.
Yeah, which
is 3 guys running around there.
I don't even know if there were 3 players that collectively enough people were happy with to put out there. The only 2 people that everyone would have wanted would be LeBron and AD, and there were the 2 guys not available.
Yeah.
But I started thinking about this just in terms of, okay, whittling things down, which is typically what you start doing around this period anyway. And then in the meantime, it's the Lakers are in a unique position where they've been trying to work Gabe Vincent back into the rotation, adding an extra guy who, in fairness to Vincent, I actually think he's been pretty good defensively. Like,
right, and I don't know if working back in, because he has provided something that is different, particularly on the defensive side. I don't think it's purely a matter of we're trying to get this guy right and make him fit in. I actually think some of the playing time is based on he's providing a defensive presence that is different and often better than what we're otherwise putting on the floor.
I agree. That being said, though, I don't think there's been enough time to do this smoothly, and the bench has become such an issue that I'm not sure it is worth the effort to be continually trying to work Gabe Vincent into what have become extremely high leverage minutes, high leverage games. So I started thinking about what could be, I think, a proper rotation and minutes allocation heading into these final games, and assuming the Lakers get through the play-in into the playoffs. See what you think of this. There's 240 total minutes of playing time available. For the 5 starters, I have LeBron at 40, AD at 40, D'Angelo Russell 36 minutes, Austin Reeves 36 minutes, Rui Hachimura 36 minutes. So that means 188 of the 240 available minutes, basically about 75% going to the starters. That leaves 52 minutes left. Spencer Dinwiddie, 22. He's the most dynamic and versatile ball handler they have off the bench. Jackson Hayes, 15 minutes. He's the only other big man they have. AD has to sit at some point. And then 15 minutes a night for Taurean Prince. He is a legitimate shooting threat. When he has been off, like you mentioned, he's been very off. But when he's been good, I think he's actually been very helpful. But you just want to limit the minutes to something more sensible. Vincent is probably a defense, even while coming back, he might be a defensive upgrade over Prince, but I think he's so out of whack offensively, and the bench is so inconsistent with the scoring. I don't know if you can put him out there. I would eliminate his minutes. I would eliminate Cam Reddish's minutes, and I would eliminate the theory of Max Christie, because apparently Darvin's made up his mind anyway.
Right, and
I'm done fighting that battle. I've been focusing on Rui. I got to pick my battles.
Right. I can only save one of you. Even with my caveat that I had in there before, like I don't think this is necessarily like a matter of trying to get Gabe going. I think they'd love to, but like I think Darvin is playing him because of his defensive functionality as much as anything, and then hoping the other stuff comes around. What I would say is this: no, it is not worth doing it, because. And I was trying to find his net ratings and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you could do it while I'm talking or whatever, but it's not worth it. And it's very similar to Reddish, where the theoretical defensive bump, and I will say in the case of Vincent, it's actually probably not theoretical. It's actually there. With Reddish, it's purely conceptual at this point. Like, I think there is, the defensive boost that you're theoretically getting from Reddish really has not been there, I think, for a little while. And he is so bad offensively. And so Vincent would need to be Gary Payton-esque defensively at this point to make up for how much of a negative he is offensively. And the Lakers, while it'd be neat if they could become a better defensive team, clearly are just a team that is going to need to outscore people and then dial up 7 good minutes of defense a game, where like this is the 7 minutes we separate because we're playing good defense. We keep getting our buckets, but we get stops for this stretch of time and we pull away a little bit. That's how they're going to win. And so they still get those moments from the starting 5 that they have, from adding Dinwiddie in there, Jackson Hayes potentially, depending on the matchup and all that. I see no need to let Vincent or Reddish play.
And do those minute splits sound, you think, reasonable?
I think, look, if they get into a 7-game series, I do think that is more or less what it's going to look like. You might see, and this happens throughout the playoffs, different guys pop up because it's a matchup, because somebody's in foul trouble, because it's whatever. And you'll probably see that. but these are the 8 guys who are going to play. And if you don't see Rui, for example, playing in the mid to high 30s, like there would need to be a reason at this point, like a really good one.
There wasn't one for most of the season. Why do we have to have one now?
No, you're right. But I would want, if I'm Rob Pelinka, we just gave that guy a ton of money. I would like to know why. I'm gonna text Darvin, like, hey, why? Like, but I think that's more or less what it would look like.
Okay, cool. Well, that's my suggestion. And again, you start getting towards these games, the normal thing is to be paring down the rotation anyway. I think Darvin needs to be serious about the idea of, okay, these are the guys who've earned the right to be on the court. These are the guys that have not. Case of Gabe Vincent, unfortunate, whatever, but it's time to stop effing around.
Some of the LeBron conversations about, sort of the future or what that looks like, contracts, and more interesting news about what a potential contract would look like for James this week. We'll get to it next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. It is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. It's approaching really, really soon. Baseball's in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/locked on. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Before we get to LeBron, just throw a little more red meat to the masses here. Despite occasionally playing with what is apparently the worst deep bench in the NBA, Max Christie over the last 15 games has a net rating of +5. Just saying.
I mean, I've been a big proponent for Max Christie. I don't know if there's jack bleep to read into that.
No, it's not. It's literally just throwing meat out to people to get them riled up and angry.
We are unfortunately too far along at this point where starting to play Christie extended minutes is actually fair to him. It's just one of those things that I don't understand and haven't understood.
So one thing that is worth following right now is the idea of what happens to LeBron at the end of this season and what kind of contract he's looking for. So this week on the Hoop Collective, Wendy's podcast at ESPN, this came up. One of the things that has been talked about is both the length of the deal, LeBron looking for a full 3 years, but also a no trade clause, which all of it put together is just sort of fascinating, both on, when you think about the age of LeBron, when you think about where the Lakers are, when you think about where he is, whether it would actually give the Lakers more maneuverability if LeBron was under contract for longer rather than less. There's a lot. Well, here's my thinking. If LeBron wanted to be traded, the no trade clause is, would you agree that's kind of just like a politeness? They're not going to trade LeBron without his permission anyway.
It's not kind of politeness. It is 100% politeness. That is giving LeBron a finger quotes concession for the thing that you wouldn't do anyway.
Right. Okay.
Like they would not, this franchise, the most star effery franchise in the entire NBA that is petrified of ever looking like they don't ever kiss up enough to their superstars. No, they are not going to trade LeBron to Chicago without his blessing. That is not going to happen.
So what you're saying is it's sort of the functional equivalent of like a no murder clause. Like the Lakers will formally agree not to murder LeBron James. Which
honestly,
they
I
probably
think they might be more
anyway.
likely to murder him than trade him. I think they would be more fearful of trading LeBron than murdering him. They don't do that sort of thing. They don't trade superstars.
No, you're right.
They don't. They cater to stars.
So with that in mind, here's my thinking. The reason it actually could provide more flexibility is if he is still playing well And there's really no reason. Like, the drop off is expected to come, but like, what if the drop off is kind of just a slow build down where like his availability goes down a little bit? You have fewer games where you get peak LeBron or whatever, but overall he's still a top 10-ish player in the league, which he clearly is this year, I think, when he's fully engaged. Not on every night, but like he is fully capable of being that good.
He's not a typical top 10 player. Does he still have top 10 talent at his best? Yes.
Top 10 impact, top 10 talent. Yes.
Just like a lot with LeBron this year, it's complicated.
Right. It's just different. But like the idea that if you're trading for LeBron, it's not like when you trade for Russell Westbrook, where like that guy's clearly not the star level player that he was before. Like his performance level relative to his peak is far diminished from what it was. Or like even the Suns, I think, trading for Bradley Beal or certain guys were like, you're kind of trading for second team all NBA and you're getting like fifth. Like LeBron, you're still getting all NBA caliber play and all that kind of stuff. If you know that he's under contract for 2 more years, let's say, he wants to trade, the Lakers, need to do it, whatever it might be. I do actually think it might be easier for a team to trade for him if they're confident enough in his ability to perform well through the length of a deal than if he had an option at the end of like every year. He could always walk, always walk, always walk. There's at least the potential for a little bit more predictability on the part of another team that might want to acquire him, because LeBron, as we've talked about and will talk about, I'm sure, going into the offseason, is incredibly difficult to trade. To formulate trades for LeBron James, really hard. So I actually think this could, while it seems maybe a little counterintuitive, make that easier rather than harder if he actually has 3 guaranteed seasons going forward.
I understand your logic. In certain respects, I think it's a moot point, because either he's going to be playing very well and the Lakers would probably not move him unless he made like a very public, finable demand to get moved. They're not going to move him. And if the drop-off starts all of a sudden happening where it's like, okay, this is 40, this is what it looks like, they're not going to be able to move him. So in certain respects, it doesn't matter. And then you start factoring in how difficult it will be to move LeBron at a salary that could be approaching $60 million in a way that makes sense for both teams involved. Like for the Lakers, if they still have Anthony Davis wanting to stay playing at a high level, how are you not going to be just wasting that season? If you're,
I get it. Like, but this is again, I'm saying the concept of trading LeBron is excessively difficult. From the Lakers' perspective, though, I think what this really does reinforce is ultimately, are you comfortable giving LeBron James 3 years and $180 million? No. Are you going to do it? Yeah, I think they are. And it's not just the star effery. It's because the only other alternative at that point is to rip the whole thing down and start over, because you can't drop in another star, and do better than what they are with LeBron. If let's say even if you swap out LeBron for Donovan Mitchell next year, use tons of assets to make that happen, or you're not better. So like your choice is keep LeBron and try to build more, or let LeBron go and blow it up. That to me is the choice, and the Lakers will make the choice of keeping LeBron.
And truth be told, if they were going to move off LeBron, they're a couple years too late. I mean, they should have been doing this when AD was a few years younger. You would have more runway to try to do as much as possible with his prime, where if you had to have something of a reset year, it would be more reasonable. At this point, especially too, after all the guys that they brought back this year who are under long-term deals, you are pot committed to this point with LeBron.
100%.
For better or for worse, or you could argue even both. This is the path that you are on. Forget the idea that, although it does matter, the Lakers have, as a franchise, absolutely no idea what to do with themselves unless they have one or multiple superstars on a roster. Like they are not a team like brimming over with high imagination. Like it's not what they do. No. But even with that acknowledged, there kind of is nowhere to go. Even if you feel like the championship window with LeBron and AD is pretty close to shut, unless you are willing to just blow the whole thing up and rebuild it from the studs up, which should also remind people the Lakers don't do.
But it's not their thing. Also not fun. It's also really hard. And like, right.
But even if it was fun, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. That's not what they do.
I am fully of the opinion they're not set up well for that right now. You just, this is the path that they wedded themselves to when they got LeBron, because I don't think anybody thought the Lakers were ever going to get rid of him. I think, to be honest, and we'll quit here and we'll maybe talk about this, hopefully not sooner, hopefully later. I think the Lakers have been a little surprised, and I don't want to say disappointed, but hamstrung by the fact that the fall off hasn't come with LeBron as quickly as people thought it might. It's just something to think about. We'll get to Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show, hang out with over 23,000 subscribers, all of whom will be in torches and pitchforks mode if the Lakers do not win tonight in Memphis. We'll be back to talk about it and then get you ready for Sunday's game, the season finale against New Orleans. See everyone later.